Shabbat Shalom everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. And the parasha of this morning is known as Parshas Tazria. That's what we're going to. The parasha that we're studying this morning is Parshas Tazria. And what is the meaning of the word Tazria? Tazria meaning, and when she conceived. When she conceived, to conceive. So what is God giving? God is trying to give us an understanding of a particular thing that is going on here. When a woman conceived and gave birth to a male or to what? To a female, she shall be what? She shall be contaminated for how many days? For a male, for 7 days. For a female, 2 weeks, right? And after that, she's going to stay 66 days for a female. While for a male, she's going to stay for how many days? 33 days. Because for a male is what? For a male is 40 days, while for a female it's 80 days. Some of us will say, okay, they always ask the question, why, why the male 40 days and female 80 days? Why is God multiplying it, for a female, but for a male, it's just simple like that. This is very easy to understand. We need to understand that a man does not what? A man does not get pregnant. Right? Man does not get pregnant. It is the woman that gets pregnant. So because a woman, the girl that is born, is going to be what? Is going to give life again. So that is why it's double for the female, while for the male is single. So I subtitle the parasha of this morning as creating an avenue for return. I'm going to speak very, very slowly this morning because I want us to understand the parasha of this morning. Very, very important. For me, it's extremely important for us to understand it. It's just too important. Creating an avenue for return. Why is God asking us this? Why is the Holy One, blessed be He, telling us that we should create an avenue to return? Remember in the Garden of Eden, when man was set out of the garden, and the angel came to man, you have to eat. Man, Adam said, no, I don't want to eat. He said, no, you are getting weak. Because of what? Because you are now flesh. You are now flesh. You have to eat to sustain yourself. Don't worry, don't mourn. You shall surely return to the garden. For the garden is created by God for man. That is our home. That is our eternal home. We shall surely return. So God is telling us also now that we shall create an avenue for return. Who are those people to return that God is talking about? God is talking about those people that backslide. Those people that they think that you know what? I am no longer going to count myself among the children of Israel, amongst the believer, among those people that say, you know what? I'm ashamed to go to the synagogue. The widows, the orphan, the fatherless, the motherless. To say, they rejected me. But God is saying, we as the leader, we as rabbis, we shall create an avenue for those people to return. We shall create an avenue for them to come back home, to come back to the community, to come back to the congregation. The book of Va-Yikra helps us to understand human weakness and frailty, and the need for the creating of holy and healing community. The need for ritual and support that enable us to transcend our alienation from God, transform our shame and guilt into wholeness again, and help us to return to God, if you will, and at-oneness with God and ourselves. The ritual and sacrificial cult may be of another time and place, but the lessons are clear and profound. Tazria, in particular, is our teacher. The parasha Tazria is our teacher in this sense, because the parasha is giving us an understanding that why is God comparing Sarat with a woman that just gave birth? Because it is continuation. He said the woman that just gave birth shall be unclean, and the person that has Sarat is unclean. You see, it's not. We need to understand the point that God is trying to tell us from here. We need to understand what God is want to pass over onto us. You know, it's a teaching tool. Some people say, is God saying that the woman has a Sarah? No. We shall remember and understand that anything that anywhere or any part of the body or anything that leaks blood is considered unclean. Okay? Why? Because the Torah said that blood is what? Blood is the life of an animal. And when you lose the blood, you are what? You are killing. It's like you are losing life. And God is a God of life, not the God of the dead. And so that's what God said. It become unclean. You cannot lose blood. Blood is the animal, is the life of an animal. So here, Tazria is giving us this understanding. God is trying to teach us that we as an individual, we as a person, we as an organization, we as a community, we shall make an avenue for everyone that have been, thrown aside. Everyone that we say, downtrodden ones. We have to do what? We have to bring them back into the community. The Kohen is the watchman. The Kohen is the guard. The Kohen is the person that stands at the gate watching over the people to see that everything is safe, everything is good. Is the guardian of the sanctity of the community and those who live in it. When a disease that was deemed to be dangerous to others strike, the Kohen examined the person and made the diagnosis. The illness was not always physical. No, it could also be a soul or a spiritual, or can be both of them combined. Remember that the Kohen will make what? Diagnosis. And in our present day, who make diagnosis? Doctors are the one that make diagnosis. So the Kohen is also acting like a medical doctor. The Kohen will come if somebody is sick, if somebody has a skin infection. The Kohen will come, they will bring the person to the Kohen. The Kohen will look, oh, it is a Sarah. Take the person for isolation. You see, all the things that is written in the Torah is what we are practicing now in our present day. You see, 5,000, 4,000, 2,000, 3,000, 500 years ago, God is teaching us about infection control. That is how to control infections. Because if you leave that man in the midst of the community, the disease will spread all over the entire community. In order for the community to be safe, you shall do what? Quarantine that person. He said, you shall remove the person from the community and set him outside of the community. He shall be there for what? For a 7 days period. We shall understand on how to control diseases, bacteria, viruses. Because if you allow them, they will spread in the community. And so therefore, as a rabbi, as a community leader, as a husband, as a wife, we are all required to be vigilant, both of the head of your family, both of the head of the community, both of the head of the organization, and each and every individual in it, to guard the well-being of the community. Sometimes person may need to be singled out, quarantined, but at the same time not ignored. The Kohen was required to care for them, even if it means putting his own sanctity as a Kohen, even though if it means for putting his own life online at risk. Remember that when a Kohen comes into, when they bring somebody, right, to a Kohen that is sick, remember that Sarah is what? Is infectious disease. It can infect the what? The Kohen. But the Kohen, as his job is not only to say, I'm a rabbi, I will come to the synagogue, I dress nice, I stand, and I talk and talk and talk, and that is it. I get my salary, I put in my pocket, I go home. No, that is not only your work. People think, oh, I want to be a rabbi, and I'll just speak, and I'll sit down in my office, I will take my salary, I go home, I feed my children, I feed my wife, and that is my job, and I'm done. But that is not your job. That is not the whole part of your job. Your job is to take care, spiritually, physically, the people. Because if you say that you serve God, and you are not serving your community, then what type of God are you serving then? Because serving God is serving humanity. If you want to serve God that you don't see, you say, I want to serve God. Oh, I'm serving God, and you don't see Him. And you say, oh, I don't want to serve man. Then what type of rabbi, what type of a leader, what type of a husband, what type of a wife are you? You have to serve what humanity, then you can serve God. Remember that man is created in the image of God. If you want to serve, you say, I want to serve God, then serve man first. Then God will look, and God will see and say, oh, he's doing a very good job, he's serving me. David, Moshe Rabbeinu, most of our leaders, what do? They take care of animals, they take care of sheep, and God look at their dedication, the way they dedicate themselves in the service of those sheep. Ordinary animals, they will put their life on line to defend those animals. And if a man can put his life on line to defend an animal, how much more a human being? So, and that is why those are the qualities that God is looking for. Look at the same thing, the Kohen Gadol here. He has to put his life on line, not afraid of the infection, not afraid that, oh, I can be contaminated by this infectious disease. He has to go and look at it again after the 7th day. Oh, the skin, okay, the skin is good. Now it's declared pure. It's declared no more contaminated. Right? And that is the same process that we can see in the world that we live today. Because we can see that the medical doctors, when someone has an infectious disease, the doctors, they put their life online for us, for me, and for you. They got to talk about COVID. How many doctors died because of this COVID? Because they put their life, that is their job, and they love their job with all their heart, with all their soul. They want to make us to do what? To cure us from our diseases. They don't care. They come and they do their job, even though they get infected. You see? No, they didn't run away and say, oh, no, it's not me. No. I don't want to get infected. That is their profession. And if man, and if we can do this, right, for a profession that is physical, how much more for a profession that is spiritual? That we as a person, we as an individual, we that call ourselves rabbis, you that call yourself a husband, you that call yourself a wife, you have to stand up for the sanctity of your community, of your home, of your family. You cannot just say, oh, no, I wash my hand. That does not concern me. I stay here, I want to be saved. So, and when God said that life is sacred, to God, life is sacred. We have to do everything possible to do what? To save every life. Even though if only one that we can save is good. We can't just wash our hand and run away and say, okay, I don't want to get infected. You can see what God is telling the Kohen Gadol, even though the Kohanim, that you as the leader of the community, you as the teacher of the community, you are the watchman of the community, you are the one that stands guard of the people. It is not just to say, oh, I am a Kohen or a Kohen Gadol or a Kohanim and be proud and do nothing. No, you have to dedicate yourself. You have to lay down your life for your people. For me as a person, this has meant intervention with alcoholic, with drugs and substance abuser, to get them into recovery programs, and if need be, to help them remove them from the family or the community or from that friends or from that associate that enable their disease to flourish. Because if you remain, if you are a drug user, right? And you want and you ask God, God, please, I want to be cured. I want to remove all this substance out of my body. And your friend is a drug user. How can you be cured? Because the bird of the same feather flies together. It's your friend, and so both of you will continue to do the same thing. But in such a case, you have to remove, you have to break that friendship. You have to take that person out from such a friendship. Because with such friendship, he will never stop taking drugs. It will continue no matter what you do, because his friends are influencing him. We can also see this in the Torah. Our father Abraham, God told him, you have to pack your load, you have to leave. You cannot stay in this place. You cannot stay, right, in Mesopotamia. You cannot stay there, because this environment is toxic for you. This environment is not good for you. If you remain here, no matter what I tell you, no matter what I teach you, you are contaminated. For you to be separate, for you to be holy, I will take you out of here with your family, with everything that you have, to a new land, to a new place, a place that is completely holy, a place that is separated. Then we can have privacy. We can communicate perfectly well. Because here there is no privacy. Your eyes is one-ton eyes, you know. Your mind is bombarded with all the advertisement in the news, with all the propagandas, with all the big corporations that want you to only buy materialism. And so how can you concentrate when all these things bombarding your eyes and your mind all day long? So it's very hard for you to do what? To concentrate. But I will take you, Abraham, I will take you out to a special place where both of us can become more intimate. And this is what God is asking us, that we have to be serious and dedicate ourselves and try to create an avenue for other people that have been lost to return home. So my job as a rabbi is to bring that man. I go to the prison yard, right, to visit the prisoners, to communicate with them, to discuss with them the house of Israel, those Jews or those Hebrew men that might be in prison. Communicate with them. You know, my job is to do what? Is to talk to those people that might be in need. My job is to bring them back home. My job is to talk to that widow, right? That think, oh, you know, my husband is dead. I can no longer go to the community. I'm ashamed. No, you cannot be ashamed. Come, we are your people. We love you. You have to remain among us, and we will protect you. That is the job of the community. The job of the community is not just to come and gather money and be spending. No, your job is to do what? Is to protect the people that you are leading. That is the job of the community. You cannot say, okay, I'm a widow. My wife just passed away. I'm ashamed I cannot come back to the community. No, you have to come back, because our job is to protect you. Oh, I don't have a father. You have to come back. Don't alienate yourself. Don't go away. The community loves you. And as a rabbi, I'm talking to every rabbi that we have to always create an avenue, a route, a way for all the lost sheep of Israel to return back home. Yeshua gave us an understanding about the prodigal son. The boy that went away and took his wealth and loot them and spend them and do whatever he wants to do. And later on he realized, after suffering, he realized that I have a father. My father is even richer. Even though the slave of my father, I enjoy more than what I am doing here. How much more me? I will return home. I will return to my father and I will beg my father for forgiveness. I know that I have done something wrong. I have sinned. I want to return home. And he returned home and he was welcome. So this is what God is asking us. We every time we draft away from God. Remember, God is constant. God never moves. The God of creation is one, and he's remained there. He never moved. It is we human beings that draft away from God. And God is asking us to return back home. Come back. Why waste your money? Why waste your talent? Why waste everything that for something that does not pay? the prophet is asking us in the book of Yeshayahu, why are you wasting your talent, your money, your everything to buy water, to buy food, to buy things that does not pay, when everything is free? Come and eat. Come and drink of the water of life. Come and eat of the water. Come and eat the bread of life, which is the Torah. Come. Everything is free. God has given us all this. Why wasting our time? God is calling us to return home. As I said, I acted not as a doctor, but as rabbi. This involved putting our personalness and dignity on the line with the person, the family, and the community. The same applies to each issue as domestic violence. People do not appreciate a diagnosis, calling attention to the illness, to the sickness. The Kohen required courage to call what was tameh a tameh. It is very, very important. I repeat again. The Kohen required courage to call what is tameh a tameh. What is unclean, unclean. It takes a courage. Because, you know, Enan is my friend. And Enan did something that is wrong. I don't want to do what? I don't want to tell him that he did something that is wrong. Because Enan is the one that sponsors the community. Enan is giving millions of dollars every day, every week, every month. Oh, no, that is not what God is talking about. You shall stand up to Enan and say, what you did is wrong. That is not right. You cannot beat your wife. The wife cannot abuse the husband. The parent cannot abuse their children. You have to stand up for what is wrong, for what is right, and what is wrong. You shall tell them face to face. You shall not hide, because if I tell Enan, then there will be no more money for the community. Nobody to sponsor the community. Who is Enan? When you say the truth, if he decides to leave, let him leave. God will provide another one. But your hand is clean because you've spoken the truth. Why do you want to hide and collecting the money and lose the soul of Enan? That is not right. We as a community, we as a group, we as a family, we have to stand up for what is right, for what is just. For the Torah said, you shall pursue justice. Justice shall you pursue. And if there is no justice, then we are wasting our time. Why are we coming, waking up early, dressing up, and coming to the Shabbat, to the synagogue, when we cannot improve our way? God has always been talking about improvement. Oh man, improve your way positively. You did something that is wrong. Don't worry. A man falls 7 times, a man rise 7 times. Don't worry. But the point is, come up, stand up. Don't stay there. Don't let sin bury you. Don't let the water of life, the stress of life bury you. No, rise above it. Rise above it. Stand up. Don't say, oh, pour me. No, nobody will. You have to do what? You have to stand up. You say, do everything as you can. Then leave the rest for God. God will do the rest. But do your humanly possible one that you can do. And leave the rest for God. Pray and ask God. And God will rescue you. God asks us to take a what? A lamb, a sheep, a goat, kill it, put the blood on the doorpost. That is it. I say, man can do that, no? Man can do that. That is it. Your job is not to hurry and say, oh, I don't know what is going on, go and start shaking. No. Do what God has commanded. That is it. And you leave the rest for God. You say, oh, I cannot kill the lamb. Okay, don't kill it, stay there. When the consequence comes, you face the consequence. What man can do, let us do it. Don't let us say, oh, poor me. No. Nobody will pity you. You have to pity yourself. Stand up, rise up. Fight for your life. And ask God, and God will lead you through. We as a community have to reject anything that is domestic violence. We have to diagnose it. We have to tell them the truth. I know I was reading a news, right? there is a woman that has a genetic problem, right? A genetic problem because that it has from our family, and our friend is telling her to do what? To go for diagnosis. She said, I am afraid. I am afraid of what the doctor is going to tell me. Why are you afraid? Why are you afraid for what the doctor is going to tell you? I don't want to hear it. I want to stay on my own. I don't want to hear what the doctor is going to say. It's like an ostrich that buried his head in the sand. I don't want to see. But the time will come that you have to remove your head out of the sand. When she got married, she gave birth to a disabled child. You see? Whose fault? Of course, because she refused to go for the diagnosis. If you know what your disease is, if you know what your family disease is, you know the means to do what? To manage it. If you don't know what the disease is, you don't know the cure. But once you know the disease, once you know the diagnosis, there is always a remedy. Always a remedy. Right? So if you go and before you get married, you say, okay, you tell your husband, this and this and this and this and this is what I know in my family. Let us go for a diagnosis about yours, so that we might see if we can match together or not. Because we don't want to give birth to what? To children that is disabled. It's not hard. I don't know why we make everything hard. The Torah is not hard. It's simple. But man makes everything hard. Diagnosis, I know many people, they have an issue, especially in some African continent. They don't want to get diagnosed because they are afraid that, oh, the doctor might say that I have HIV. They keep it, they don't want to talk. But you are spreading disease, this HIV, to everybody. But if you know that you have HIV, then you know how to protect yourself, because you know that you have this disease. But if you don't know, you spread it onto innocent people. That is what I'm saying, because that woman that refused to get diagnosed, she brought a life into the world, and that person is disabled. You see? So that child will face that consequence for the rest of his or her life, because the mama refused to get diagnosed. We need to be on the alert for those whose behavior is dangerous in our community. We have to be at alert. We have to be alert every time. Our eyes have to be open to the sanctity of our community. Unethical, immoral, or questionable businesses, legal or professional behavior can result in hilul hadonai for the world, for the community. Too often, we have honored men and women, giving them leadership positions for their material generosity or for their material donations, and ignore the practices that might have produced the affluence. What are we modeling for ourselves, our children, and our community? The modern Kohen must lead in discerning Tamer as Tamer. At the same time, these men and women need and deserve the message of potential healing and return that Torah offers, and that the teacher of the Torah can help make real in their life. What I'm saying is, we have to be at alert to those ones in our community that their behavior does not match with the Torah. Our eyes have to be clean. Remember, I always say that a virus is what is, you can't see a virus with your eyes, but you can see the disastrous consequence of a virus. You don't see it. Virus is microscopic, but at the end, you can see the disastrous situation that the virus can cause, because only one single one enter into the cell and it produce, it spread. The same thing. This, if as a leader, if as a rabbi, if you are not alert to those ones that have dangerous behaviors, immoral life, those ones that are unethical, those ones that have questionable business practices, because they donate money, because they give money, I'll close my eyes I close my mouth, I don't see it. Before you know it, the disease will spread in the community. We have to stand up against such a people. You have to tell them, this is what the Torah said. I'm not saying that we have to be confrontational. No, you have to use wisdom, discerning, right? Tell them this is tamen, this is unclean, this is not right, it is not good, right? You have to call them as a son, knowing that you are their leaders. You have to bring them in and tell them, I want you to do this, this is the way, this is the right way, this is the right way. The most important thing is that you have explained to them, explaining to them the truth of the kingdom of God, the truth of the Torah. And once you have done that, your hand is clean. We cannot just keep our mouth shut because they donate money. Then what are we modeling the community after? That everybody in the community should be performing fraud? That everybody in the community should be a killer? That everybody in the community should be a criminal? No. Because those things will affect the children, the people that are living in the community. We need to always understand not to be blind, because of the money. Look ahead for the future. The future is the most important because the children that are raised in such an atmosphere that they can never become anything good. Never. Because that is what they see from the beginning, and they grow up like that. A family that is a violent family. How can you raise a peaceful child from a family that is violent? He sees that all his life to him, he thinks that is normal. Because that is what he sees all the day of his life. So therefore, we as a leader, you as a husband, you as a wife, right? We as rabbi, we have to stand up when you try to direct your family, your children, in the path of justice. Often we cast out, we leave out, or disregard the sick, the lonely, the unpopular, those with HIV, those who no longer fit, who no longer fit in, widows, the divorcee, the dependent elders, etc. But they are not dangerous to the welfare of our community, of the society. And they must be brought back. They must be brought back in. We need to create an avenue to bring them back. The image of the Ark of the Covenant described in Berachot is a Torah imperative. What happens to the first set of tablets that Moses shattered? It was placed in the ark with the second whole set. So what I'm saying here is, we often, leave those people aside. We often overlook them, the widows, the fatherless, the motherless, the elders. We overlook them. We don't care about them. And these people are not dangerous for us. They are not dangerous for the community. Why do we overlook those people that actually are in need? And then those evil people, because they donate money, we put all our attention on them. No, we have, as a community, have to make a means, a way to bring back these people, the divorcee, bring them back. Because I say, I'm ashamed because I got divorced. I don't want to go to the community. Everybody will be looking at me. They'll be asking me question, where is your husband or where is your wife? La 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 la. No, we have to create an enabling environment and a good atmosphere to bring these people back. We love them and we don't want them to perish. We want them to return to the community. We don't stop talking, backbiting against them. You see, she's old, or she cannot move, or she doesn't have children. That is why we are a community. That is why we don't point finger, because if you point one finger, 4 fingers is pointing back at you. That is why we as a community have to do what? Take care of them. They are part of us. That we cannot just reject them. We have to bring them back into the field and help them. During the period of isolation, the hill were tended to by the Kohen. Serving God was not limited to the matter of the sanctuary, but included as a necessary component caring for each individual created in the image of God. The Kohen checked the condition and determined when they are healed. For us, this means praying with and for the ill, the sick, and their family, tending to their physical and spiritual need. During isolation, when a person that has sarat, right? When the person that has a sarat is being put in isolation, this Kohen will also go and do what? And help, check, because sometimes people, the mentality of the West is that sarat, which they translated as leprosy, they think is a physical disease. No, it can be a spiritual one, and it can be both. So, as a rabbi, we have to do what? To pray for them, assist them, pray for the family, ask them, go to them personally, individually, see what they lack, what they need, and assist them as such. In a unique and caring way, the priest, the Kohen, the rabbi, enacted a ceremony of return so that the afflicted person could return home. Many men and women have complained about the difficulty of returning to their community after an illness, after a divorce, after a sickness, after material, financial, downwardness. Which can, as much as possible as a community, assist these people. We can't just say, okay, because they feel ashamed and you will even make it. No. We have to go to them, ask them what they need, what is the situation, how can we assist them. So, because if a man brings in 2 bread, for example, every year into the synagogue, and he comes that he could no longer bring this bread, that means there's a problem. He's facing a problem. This is the job of the Kohen. It is the job of the rabbi. It is the job of the leadership of the community to go to him and ask him, what is the issue? What is the problem? How can we help you? Right? I know sometimes we have ego, right? We have our ego, right? I understand that. I don't want nobody to know that I'm facing this situation. I don't want to wash my clothes in the public. I don't want to tell people what is going on with me. No. Sometimes we have to be sober. We have to come and tell people what we are facing, and then so that we can find solution to our problem. As I said, if you have a sickness and you did not go to diagnose, then there will be no help. There will be no solution. But if we bring down our ego and we come to the community, this is what I'm facing. I need this assistance. I need this help. Even though if the community doesn't have it, maybe somebody in the community know another person outside that can help. And that is how help comes. I go, oh, my community needs this help. Somebody in my community needs this help. And that is how you can receive assistance and help. Representing the religious institution, the Kohen created the venue for return, truth, ritual, and support, and his authority could not be questioned. What a dramatic and impelling mitzvah for us. God awaits the return of his people, and we as a holy community caring for each of his members. Help make it happen by the support we offer ritually, programmatically, and communally. This act of bringing back the broken serve as a promise that from one brokenness can come healing. Her brokenness is paired with the unbroken set of the tablet. Shlemut is not perfection, it is the wholeness born from the broken, and the healed, for we are all broken at one time or at one point. The Kohen is our symbolic exemplar. The Kohen, what the Kohen represents is our what? Is our exemplar. We can look at the picture of the Kohen. Oh, I can see what the Kohen does. This is the reason why he's doing it. And this is it. And this I can copy from the action of the Kohen. we as a community, as I said, have to come up. We are broke. Everybody has the past. Everybody has the broken past. But God is saying that do not forget your broken past, but you can make everything whole again. You see, we said that once there is life, there is hope, right? As far as a man is not 6 feet under. Once you have breath, you can breathe, right? You have hope. So forget about what one person will say against you, or about one person will say against you, or about your own self-ego. No. Come back to the community. There is an avenue. There is a way. There is a path to bring you back. Don't be ashamed. Why are you ashamed? We love you and we want you to return back to the community. And thereby, we doing the work of God by serving humanity, meaning that we are serving God. Because the Kohen Gadol is not just to sacrifice and sit down in the Holy of Holies or in the Mishkan. No, but it actually serves its people first. But when you serve your people, that means you are serving God. So the parasha is extremely important for us as an individual, as a community, as a synagogue, as a family, to be able to look and see that we have to bring back our people. Those that are left in anger, in one way or the other, we bring them back. Say there is a way for you, there is a path for you. Come, let's solve our issue. It's a family issue, right? Don't wash your clothes in the public. It's in within, and thereby increasing the population or increasing the membership of our community. Parasha Tazria, creating an avenue of return. Shabbat Shalom.